Here with Washington State women's basketball head coach Kamie Ethridge. Coach, your team is opening up its postseason play at the Pac-12 tournament here in Las Vegas. Your team is the number 3 seed, and you will be playing the winner of Utah and California on Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Just how excited are you to be here down in Vegas, and how is your team preparing for an extended stay here?
Yeah. Well, obviously it's unusual to get here as early as we did. Just when you get flights and when you're working on flights, it's hard to plan on. Are you going to have a bye the first round? This is the first time we've ever had a bye. We got in on Monday evening, had a great meal, and had a really good practice today. Settled in, I think. Again, it feels good with this team. It feels like they know how to handle road and trips and feel like we still are on a purposeful journey, and preparing well and getting ourselves, in position to play well. We don't know who we're going to play, but I'm excited for this team, and I think they're really excited, and we're going to soak in, what we get to do and what we've already accomplished this year, and the fact that we got a bye is the first step in that.
We're going to open up the floor for questions. We'll start off with Jamie Vinnick from CougFan.com. Go ahead, Jamie.
Hey, Coach. How's it going?
Great.
So, it's just kind of a unique scenario. As you said, you don't know who you're playing yet. So when it comes to the preparation, do you kind of have like things that you look at Cal's tape, you look at Utah's tape, or do you kind of, just prepare as you were going to prepare and then kind of maybe instill some things after their game on Wednesday?
Well, we had every intention. I think if we've done anybody, we've done more Utah, just because when we played Utah, they were the second game of the week. So they already got very little attention from us just in how we had to prepare for them. We had a lot more prep time for Cal. And they're obviously more familiar. We just played them. So, we didn't get a chance to do much for Utah. And it's not like we've really spent a lot of time on Utah. We've just kind of done some basic stuff that if we're guarding someone, that's what we're guarding. I wouldn't say we haven't done any film work on either team. And that's just because of our calendar and our schedule right now. We'll probably dive into some tomorrow. And that'll have a lot to do with what we did against Cal and against both teams. Areas where we think we could be better versus any team that we play. We had a practice today and really spent almost the entire practice on our stuff and trying to run our stuff with great pace and execution, and why we're running this and getting people in a lot of good places on the floor. So I was really happy with that practice. And now, as we get a little closer to who we're playing in game time, we'll zero in on our opponent.
The All Conference Awards come out today, and there was a pretty big outpouring of people on Twitter, of Coug fans, unhappy that you weren't Pac-12 Coach of the Year. Just to see that kind of response from the Coug faithful and to have that kind of support in that regard. I mean, how special is that for you when you have that many people up in arms about a postseason award?
Yeah, it's really, really rewarding, unexpected. It's really neat to see some responses and how people, we might be a little jaded in how we view it, but it makes you feel appreciated. And certainly I think that's the point. I'm a little bothered by the fact that Crystal Ledger-Walker wasn't on an all defensive team. I think we're a little bit undervalued. And, but isn't that just the way it is? Isn't that just how it is being a Coug? And so, I think we don't need to be outraged in anything. We just need to be focused on, let's prove everybody wrong. Let's prove, why we think people should be where they are in postseason awards. But was happy for Bella, was happy for Charlize. I think those were no-brainers. But it's just like anything, we're only as good as how we do the next game, and we just need to get our focus right and be our best when we play on game day. So we can't get too outraged, but personally, I think it was really neat. Ula stood up and said something of the same effect, that she was bothered by that, and Crystal. So you get that from the people that mean the most to you. And that's what I think was really touching, but I appreciate Coug Nation looking out for me.
I think with Charlize, it certainly was pretty much unsurprising to anyone who's watched you guys this year or watched Pac-12 basketball that she's all Pac-12. And I think that was pretty much a foregone conclusion. But when it comes to Bella, getting that reward of being co-most improved player with an incredibly talented player in Jordan Jenkins, I mean, how much does that kind of reward Bella for all the work she's put in to really improve herself, not only in offense and defense, but, in her, and giving a consistent effort and being there, more often than not. And maybe, as you've said in the past, that wasn't always the case.
Yeah, I mean, I just think she's stacking, days upon days of just good work, and when she does that, she gets better almost daily. She's just that talented. She maybe had that far to go to get to her ceiling. But it's impressive every single day that she's committing to just day after day after day, and so many fewer and farther between bad days or inconsistent days. And that's why she's growing at the pace she is. That's why she did, and that's even after a sporadic last summer still with COVID and stuff. So really proud of her. I think the biggest development though, that makes her game, like you said, get to that point and kind of stay consistently at that point and not have as many ebbs and flows, is just her mind. Her mind's gotten better, tougher, more resilient, playing through bad plays, not getting, not letting the emotion of whatever she's feeling take over, and really getting back into what's necessary for us to be successful. And when she gets that right, when that becomes her default versus being emotional or something like that, look out. I mean, her body's always going to get better. Her body, her game, her fundamentals, because her work ethic's so good. But as her mind gets to that level of excellence and competitive excellence, you're going to see someone that's not just a consistent player, but one of the most dominant players in the country.
All right, we're going to go with Jim Allen here at the Spokesman Review. Go ahead, Jim.
Hi, Kamie. Congratulations on a great season. We've heard some of those same comments on social media about the Coach of the Year, but we're not going to belabor that. I wanted to ask you, though, about how you guys were feeling just energy-wise. I know you guys kind of staggered into the Pac-12s, probably needed a win last year, but you guys are in a much better place, I would think, potential of making the tournament. And also, I would think feeling a little less fatigued at this point.
Jim, I appreciate that. It is a completely indifferent feel for this year versus last year. And I've said it and I keep saying it, when we lost Melina last year in late January, I don't know, maybe our last 10 games of regular season was 5-5. We were 5-5. So, and it just felt like, you don't communicate it, you don't say it out loud, but it just felt like we were on fumes, when we got here and even into the NCAA tournament. And it just doesn't feel that way at all. It's never felt that way this year. And I don't know, I think that's just a year older, almost the exact same team back. Everybody's a year older. Everybody's more mature. Everybody's in better shape. Everybody's more sure of their roles and how they play with one another. We haven't had, a devastating loss, whether it's an injury or someone leaves in any situation. So it doesn't change anybody's roles. And I just think we're further along in the path and the journey of just being really, really sure of ourselves and secure in who we are as a team and individuals. And honestly, in practice, it feels different. It feels more energy. We're not going super long right now. I don't think anyone is, but we're getting things accomplished. It feels like this team is still getting better. And that's a way different feeling than what we were feeling this time last year.
Piggybacking on that, how big of a factor is Johanna's improvement this year? A lot more minutes too. I see about 32, which is a lot more than she played last year, I believe.
Yeah, I just love her growth too. I think, I don't know that her physical game has gotten any significantly better. I think she's just tougher mentally and stronger mentally, and is one of those players I'm talking about. Just secure, knows her role, knows that we depend on her, and is kind of relishing that role and not shying away from those big moments. I mean, she's just all in on those. And I think the one thing that I've tried to say a number of times in talking to you about Yo is, I think she was one of those players a year ago that really let a couple of bad shots early affect the rest of her game, or, because she really is a sensitive and emotional player. And but she's bounces back so much faster this year. And, I can get on her, and then the next trip down the court, she makes a three. Like, there's just no hesitation in her game. And I think a year ago, there was always a little bit of a hesitation. So again, I think that's growth. I think that's maturity. I think that's confidence. I think that's, again, just knowing her role and knowing that we depend on her to be her best and to look for those opportunities to score and help us. She's become a better defender. Again, she's just in a great headspace and position to be a leading scorer for us, which is exactly what we need from her.
And final question. I mean, this is a bigger thing for fans, but and us in the media too. But how do you feel about your NCAA not chances? Because that sounds like you're a lock. But how high a seed do you think this team could be or deserves to be?
That's something that I think probably the coaches look at and have bantered back and forth and argued at some things. But I honestly got in front of the team today, and I just kind of do believe that if we just don't get caught up in the external, whether that's being upset that Crystal's not on all defensive, or any of the awards that didn't come anybody's way, if we're third place in the league and yet we're one of the last four in, I mean, someone's projection of that can be really offensive to a team. And if you get into all that, but none of that affects winning. None of that is going to make you a better team on Thursday when we play. And so and honestly, if we are our best and play our best on Thursday and throughout this week, all of that stuff goes away. We validate who we are. We keep building our resume. We keep showing the world that we're legit. And I think if that's the mindset I really want us, and the mindset of, Coug Nation all the time is go earn it. Let's go when we play. It's not going to be given to us. Let's just go earn a victory and be our best on Thursday and prepare well and make sure that we don't let just control the things we can control as we go through this process.
Great. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jim.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yep.
Awesome. Hey, Coach. So I know it's March and things can get a little chaotic. So in terms of tournament play, it's a quick turnaround between games. But when you keep playing and a loss, you're done. So as a coach, what would you say the priority for the team is going into it in terms of game planning and, controlling those locker room feelings?
Yeah, great question. I think, again, those concerns that you bring up are concerns I have had in the past. This is a team, and honestly, the best teams you ever coach, the best teams you're ever on, the locker room is so solid in how they prepare and the voices that are speaking and controlling the locker room. I don't worry about it. I think the voices that are speaking and control our locker room, Crystal Ledger-Walker, Ula, Sheer, when she, and Michaela Jones. I mean, those seniors, those people that have been with your program for 4 years, when they're talking in the locker room, when they're getting us to the point of getting prepared to play or handling adversity within timeouts, or after games, win or lose. I mean, what people are saying is just spot on and so right, and they're always right. I don't know, you could go in deep to our timeouts, and maybe the first 30 seconds are Crystal or Charlie speaking about something to everybody or getting onto the team about what we've got to do. I love that. That is exactly how I think the great ones do and the best teams do, because they've got to manage what's going on between the lines, and they got to get everybody on the same page. And like I said, when you have inexperience and when you have, lesser teams and lesser leadership, you worry about the roller coaster of how to handle adversity or emotion or losses. But this team, I think, again, we can be very directed at getting to be our best. We know everybody in this league, so we can turn around and play whoever we're going to play if we are able to win the game. And then, you know, fortunately for us and the way our conference tournament is, we have a week off before the NCAA tournament, and that lets us get some rest, which I think is going to be key for us to get a few days off, consecutive days off. But when we get back together, we gear up and we just get ourselves ready to we want to make a deep run in the NCAA tournament. So we're not going to shy away from that, and we're going to try to get prepared to do that as well as we can.
Yeah, and you just brought up a point of leadership. Would you say going into the tournament, you've seen this increase, or has it been done this way throughout the whole season?
Well, I think it's been a journey for 4 years. And some of the players in our program have been with us all 4 years. Crystal, in some strange way, has been with us 5 years, believe it or not, or 4.5. And this is her, you know, 5th. So that's a big clump of who, you know, those kids have only heard our voice. They have, and really everybody on our team. So our culture has been a journey through this thing, but we fast forwarded last year when Crystal and Charlize kind of got infused into our lineup with the core that we already had, the culture that we had already built for 2 years. So in last year, I think we weren't quite built right. And the way it turned out, we just couldn't overcome what we lost in January. And I think that drove the work ethic of our team and has gotten us to a better spot than where we are now. And now I just look at it like we're just a year older. We're more mature. We've got just such solid leadership. The core of our team has been through it and done it and experienced it at every level and against the best in the game. And we just don't get rocked, you know. And I know we had some bad losses this year and got beat pretty soundly, but I just really think this team has grown and come to understand that if we put our best foot forward, we have a chance to beat anybody in the country. And that's very player driven. I mean, I don't have to overthink anything. I just believe and trust the older group that's in our locker room.
All right, Coach. Well, we appreciate you taking the time here. Best of luck this week in Vegas. We'll talk to you after Thursday's game, and go Cougs.
Thanks, everybody. Go Cougs.